The African bushveld never truly sleeps. Even in the stillness before dawn, something is always watching, always waiting. Beneath a cluster of acacia trees, a troop of baboons stirs awake, unaware that the night has left something behind. Two shapes move low through the fading dark, patient, deliberate, built for endurance rather than speed. These are not lions. They do not rely on a single burst of power. They rely on something far more dangerous. Patience shared between two minds working as one. The hyenas have hunted together before. Tonight, they move as a single intention, wearing two bodies. Their eyes fix on the troop below, drawn not to the largest male, but to the weakest link, an elderly baboon lagging behind the others, slower with every step. The troop feeds without concern. Mothers groom their young. Juveniles chase each other through the grass. Sentinels perch high in the branches, but even the sharpest eyes cannot see everything. For a troop this large, safety has always come from numbers, not vigilance alone. But numbers only matter if the warning comes in time. The hyenas begin to close the distance, bellies low, breath steady, 40 meters becoming 30, then 20. Every second narrows the gap between an ordinary morning and something the troop will remember for the rest of its life. The old baboon pauses to inspect the ground for insects, falling 3 steps behind the others. It is the smallest mistake in the wild, but out here, the wild has never forgiven small mistakes. The hyenas freeze. The final count begins. The 2 hyenas have spotted their target. The old baboon shuffles forward, unaware that the gap between it and the troop has already sealed its fate. There is no hesitation now, no more calculation. The decision has been made, and in the wild, decisions like this cannot be undone. The lead hyena breaks first, exploding from the grass in a burst of raw acceleration. Its partner mirrors the movement half a second later, cutting wide to close off any chance of retreat. 2 bodies, 1 plan. The troop erupts into chaos. Alarm barks tear through the morning air as baboons scatter in every direction, some scrambling up the acacia trunks, others freezing mid-stride, unsure whether to flee or fight. But the old baboon has no such luxury. It turns, sees the danger closing from 2 sides at once, and understands instantly that speed alone will not save it today. The chase begins across open ground, dust kicking up behind fleeing paws and pounding feet. The hyenas do not tire the way a lion would. Their strength was never built for a single explosive strike. It was built to keep coming, stride after stride, long after most predators would have given up. Every second stretches the divide between the baboon and the safety of numbers. Every stride narrows what little room for escape remains. Behind them, the troop's alarm calls climb into something sharper, something closer to panic. A few younger males hesitate at the tree line, torn between instinct to flee and the pull of loyalty. But the hyenas do not care about hesitation. They care only about the gap now closing between hunger and prey. The first hyena lunges, jaws snapping just short of the mark. The old baboon twists violently, narrowly avoiding a grip that could have ended everything in an instant. But the second hyena is already there, cutting off the only clear path back toward the troop. There is no turning back now, not for the baboon, not for the 2 hunters who have committed everything to this single chase. The stakes are absolute. For the hyenas, failure means another day of hunger in a land that shows no mercy to the unsuccessful. For the baboon, failure means something far more final. The distance closes to almost nothing. Dust and fur and desperate breath fill the space between predator and prey. And somewhere behind them, deep in the acacia branches, the alarm calls of the troop begin to change their rhythm. No longer just warning, but gathering. Something is shifting in the trees. But out here, in the open ground, the hunt is the only thing that matters, and the hunt has already begun. The old baboon stumbles, and that single misstep is all the hyenas need. The lead hunter surges forward, jaws closing hard around the exposed flank. The impact drives both animals to the ground in a cloud of dust and dry grass. For a moment, the world seems to hold its breath. The baboon thrashes, but the grip does not loosen. The second hyena arrives instantly, moving to secure the kill, cutting off any final chance of escape. The chase is over. What remains now is only the outcome, and the outcome seems already written. The two hyenas tighten their hold, breathing hard, muscles still burning from the pursuit. This is the moment their patience was built for. The payoff after a night of stalking, of watching, of waiting for exactly this kind of mistake. Hunger has driven them across miles of open bush, and now, finally, it seems the debt is about to be repaid. For a predator built on endurance rather than raw power, a kill like this is rare currency. It is not just a meal, it is proof that patience still has a place in a world ruled by speed and strength. For a brief moment, victory feels certain. The baboon's struggles begin to weaken. The dust settles around the three animals locked together in the grass. In the distance, the troop's alarm calls seem to fade, scattering deeper into the trees, as though the danger has already passed them by. It appears, for these few seconds, that the hyenas have won not just a meal, but a clean escape from a wall of prey animals that could have overwhelmed them entirely. But something in the alarm calls is wrong. They are not fading, they are turning. The barks sharpen, multiply, layer over one another in a rhythm no longer built from panic, but from purpose. What began as the scattered warning of a fleeing troop is now becoming something else entirely, coordinated, deliberate, and closing in fast. The hyenas do not notice at first, too consumed by the kill in front of them. Every second spent securing this victory is a second stolen from awareness of what waits behind them in the grass. The old baboon's body goes still. The hunt, by every measure that matters to a hyena, has succeeded. And yet, in the tall grass surrounding them, shapes are beginning to move, low, fast, and many. The savanna rarely allows a victory to stand unchallenged for long, and today will prove no exception. The troop the hyenas thought they had outrun has not fled at all, but the bushveld had one more surprise to reveal. From every direction, the grass begins to move. What the hyenas mistook for a scattering troop was never a retreat at all. It was a regrouping. Dozens of baboons emerge from the tree line at once, teeth bared, tails raised, moving not as individuals anymore, but as a single furious wave aimed at reclaiming one of their own. The two hyenas look up too late. What was once a simple kill has become something else entirely, a confrontation with an enemy that outnumbers them 20 to 1. The largest males lead the charge, canines flashing, each one capable of inflicting real damage on its own. Behind them come the females, and even some of the older juveniles, drawn by instinct into a wall of bodies moving as one furious organism. The hyenas release their grip on the fallen baboon, some old bond of self-preservation overriding hunger in an instant. This is no longer a hunt they can finish. This is survival now, plain and immediate. The troop closes the distance in seconds, baboons screaming their alarm calls at close range, a deafening chorus meant to disorient as much as to threaten. One hyena snaps sideways at the nearest attacker, forcing it back with a swift, warning bite. But there is no time to celebrate the small victory. Another baboon is already lunging from the opposite side, canines aimed at the hyena's flank. The two hunters instinctively press their backs together, forming the only defense available to them, a small island of resistance inside a rising tide of teeth and fury. What was once a simple one-sided pursuit has become a desperate battle for two lives instead of one. The troop does not need speed or strategy here. It needs only numbers, and numbers are the one weapon a coordinated collective always possesses in abundance. Every baboon that joins the charge adds another set of teeth, another point of pressure, another reason for the hyenas to reconsider the wisdom of tonight's hunt. The old baboon, wounded but alive, drags itself backward into the safety of the crowd, disappearing beneath a moving wall of its own kind. For the hyenas, the meal they fought so hard to secure is already gone, forgotten in the face of a much larger problem now closing in from every side. The tables have turned with startling speed, and the two hunters who arrived as predators now find themselves fighting simply to survive the very troop they came to feed on. Like waves crashing against a cliff, the troop never stops coming. One baboon lunges, forcing a hyena to twist and snap in defense. Before that attacker retreats, another has already taken its place, teeth flashing from a different angle entirely. There is no pause between assaults, no moment to recover, only a relentless cycle of pressure that never lets either hyena settle into a single fight for long. The two hunters press their bodies close together, using the only advantage left to them, unity against overwhelming numbers. One guards the left, the other the right, rotating instinctively to cover whatever gap the troop tries to exploit. It is a strategy built from necessity, not confidence. Even the strongest predator cannot fight every enemy at once, and today, every enemy seems to be arriving in pairs. A juvenile male darts in recklessly, drawing a sharp countercharge from the larger hyena, teeth grazing fur without finding flesh. But the moment it retreats, two adult females press forward from the opposite side, canines bared, screaming their alarm calls at close range. Every attack steals a fraction of the hyena's strength, a little more stamina, a little more resolve. The morning sun climbs higher, and still the troop keeps coming, wave after wave, refusing to let exhaustion become an excuse for retreat. Dust rises in thick clouds around the struggle, dulling the golden light into something grayer, heavier, more desperate. One hyena's flank now carries a fresh gash, thin lines of blood mixing with dust and sweat. The other favors a hind leg slightly, the price of an earlier strike it barely avoided. Neither shows any sign of surrender, not yet, but the toll of sustained combat is beginning to show in every labored breath. The baboons, meanwhile, seem to draw strength from their own numbers, each charge emboldening the next. A troop this size does not need any single member to be a hero. It only needs enough members willing to keep coming, wave after wave, until the defenders can no longer keep pace. Time itself has become the troop's greatest weapon, an ally more patient and more merciless than any single predator. The two hyenas hold their ground, backs pressed together, eyes darting from threat to threat. But holding ground is not the same as winning. Every passing minute drains something from their bodies that cannot easily be recovered. Not out here, not against a wall of teeth that refuses to thin no matter how many charges are turned away. Section 6, the breaking point. The first hyena's legs begin to tremble beneath the weight of sustained combat. It is not the size of any single attacker that threatens to end this fight. It is the accumulation, charge after charge, bite after bite, each one small on its own but devastating in total. The hunter that arrived tonight full of confidence now finds itself struggling simply to remain upright. Its partner fares little better. A fresh wound along its shoulder seeps steadily, and every twist to counter a new attacker sends a visible flinch through its body. Still, it refuses to break formation, refuses to abandon the only defense that has kept them both alive this long. Together remains the only strategy left, even as together becomes harder to sustain with every passing second. A large male baboon presses the advantage, driving forward with a burst of aggression that forces the wounded hyena backward, stumbling over uneven ground. For a moment, the formation cracks. The gap is small, barely more than a stride, but a troop this size does not need more than a stride to exploit a weakness. 3 more baboons surge into the opening at once, sensing the shift in momentum before the hyenas even fully register it themselves. The lead hyena drops low, not from submission, but because its body has begun to fail before its will does. Its breath comes in ragged bursts now, each one shallower than the last. This is not the exhaustion of a single sprint. This is the deeper kind, the sort that settles into muscle and bone after minutes of unbroken conflict against an enemy that never seems to tire. The battle has shifted from a contest of teeth to something quieter and more dangerous, a contest between the will to keep standing and a body that has already begun keeping its own count of the cost. The second hyena glances toward its partner, some shared understanding passing between them in an instant. There is no shame written into that glance, only the plain arithmetic of survival. 2 against dozens was never a fight that could be won through strength alone. The troop senses the shift immediately. The screaming intensifies, alarm calls rising into something closer to triumph, as if the collective itself can feel victory approaching. For the 2 hyenas, the moment of decision has arrived. Not defeat exactly, but the recognition that continuing to hold ground here offers nothing left to gain and everything left to lose. The lead hyena breaks first, pivoting hard and forcing an opening through the thinnest edge of the troop's formation. Its partner follows immediately. No hesitation, no argument, only the shared instinct that says this fight has nothing left to offer. Together, they push through the gap, absorbing one final flurry of bites and shoves before breaking free into open ground. The troop does not chase far. A collective this size has already achieved what it set out to do, not to destroy the intruders, but to remove the threat and reclaim its own. A handful of baboons follow for a short distance, barking their defiance, before slowing and turning back toward the others. The rest remain gathered in a tight, restless cluster, still surrounding the old baboon that started this entire encounter. The 2 hyenas retreat across the open savanna, moving slower now, each step carrying the weight of exhaustion and injury. There is no triumph in their posture, only the quiet economy of survival, the understanding that today's hunt has cost more than it could ever have earned. They do not look back. In the wild, looking back rarely changes an outcome already decided. Behind them, the troop begins to settle, tension slowly draining from dozens of tense shoulders. The wounded elder is checked by nearby females, groomed and guarded, alive despite the odds it faced only minutes earlier. The troop does not celebrate. It simply returns, gradually, to the rhythm it knew before the danger arrived, a rhythm built on watching, waiting, and trusting the numbers around it. For the hyenas, the morning ends not in victory or in death, but in retreat, carrying wounds that will take days to heal, and a lesson that hunger alone cannot always dictate the terms of a hunt. The tables did not merely turn today, they turned completely, transforming 2 confident predators into 2 survivors grateful simply to have escaped with their lives. The bushveld falls quiet again, the dust settling over a battlefield that leaves no clear winner, only 2 very different definitions of what it means to endure. A spotted hyena can consume up to 15% of its body weight in a single feeding, and its jaws generate one of the strongest bite forces of any African carnivore, capable of crushing bone that most predators cannot even puncture. Yet even this formidable strength has limits. Hyenas rarely hunt in pairs against large groups, precisely because the math rarely favors them. Their power lies in patience and endurance, not in numbers. Olive baboon troops, by contrast, survive through an entirely different formula. A troop can include anywhere from 20 to over 100 individuals, bound together by kinship and years of shared vigilance. When one member is threatened, the response is rarely calculated from fear alone. Baboons possess complex social memory, recognizing allies and coordinating defense in ways that transform a scattered group into a unified front within seconds. Adult males, often larger and equipped with canines longer than a lion's, take the front lines, while the rest of the troop closes ranks around the vulnerable. This is why an encounter that begins as a straightforward hunt can end so differently than expected. 2 hyenas, however capable, cannot outendure the collective energy of an entire troop willing to keep charging in waves. Every individual baboon contributes only a fraction of the total defense, but multiplied across dozens of bodies, that fraction becomes an overwhelming force no single predator or even a pair can withstand indefinitely. Neither species is wrong in its strategy. The hyena's calculated patience has secured countless meals across generations. The baboon troop's unwavering unity has protected countless lives in return. Nature does not reward one approach as superior to the other. It rewards whichever strategy fits the moment. And on this particular morning, in this particular stretch of the bushveld, the tables turned in favor of the many over the few. Tomorrow, the hunger will return, and so will the risk. But for now, the troop remains whole, and the two hyenas carry forward a lesson written across their wounds, that even the most patient hunters must sometimes learn the hardest way, that survival, in the end, always favors the ones who never stand alone.